Hey guys, I'm hopping back in here again to do another website refresh. Um, I got some great responses last time, and frankly, I just love doing it and designing them. So I wanted to take a dive into a CrossFit gym here in Davie, Florida. Um, we've worked a lot in the past, especially at a previous employee. We had a really great relationship there. Um, and we always ran into like problems with the website. Um, he had a lot of conversion issues because of the website and tracking. So I just kind of wanted to jump in here and redesign the website for him and give him some direction on some of the changes that I personally would make and why I would make them. And hopefully along the way, you can pick up a thing or two or make a comment about what you would change. So anyhow, I'm going to switch over to his site. We'll kind of go through what I see on his site and what I would change, and then we're going to dive into my site that I redesigned for him, and then talk about why I made some of the changes and what I would do differently if I had some more time. So I'm just going to go ahead and switch my screen over to his current website. So here we are. So off the bat, you can kind of see that we have this big message here because of COVID-19, basically stating that the gym is closed right now. And I understand this tactic, and it's only temporary, so it's not a huge deal. Personally, though, I would do this in maybe like a pop-up or something to that effect, only because we're wasting some valuable space. It pushes everything else down, so it kind of gets lost. But we're just going to disregard that and act like that's not there, because on a normal day, that wouldn't be there. So this is what you're going to kind of see whenever you land on the website for the first time. So probably the biggest thing I would say is this headline here. This headline is kind of hard to read, and I think that's just due to the fact that the background just simply isn't as dark as it should be. And it kind of makes this red text hard to read. And also the headline itself, Welcome to Conquest, it doesn't really bring a value proposition to me. It doesn't scream out that I should, sign up with this gym compared to another gym. It's just telling me where I'm at. And frankly, the URL, the URL and the logo should do that job for itself, right? I should know where I'm going just by those two things, or how I even navigated to this site. So I don't think we need that Welcome to Conquest. It just doesn't serve as a good purpose. Next thing you'll notice is we have this green phone number. And while I was preparing for this video, I noticed that if you click the phone number, it actually takes you to the Google My Business page. And this happens too on mobile. I checked the responsive and it does the same thing. So obviously that's not the best solution. It works because the phone number is the same, but now you're sending them to another URL. There's chances that their internet might drop or hosts of other issues. And then they have to find the phone number in this little section where you could just have them call directly to that phone number. So something else that I would change. And also the coloring. The bright green, although I'll give it to them, it stands out. I think it kind of distracts from their brand. It doesn't fit their overall theme. Next, we have this subheadline here. It's all in caps, and I think centered text and all in caps make it really hard to read. And I don't think a lot of people are going to read it. And then same with this button. I think it's a little too overpowering. Basically, this whole square right here becomes one square when I initially look at it, right? There's nothing really calling out to me because everything's calling out to me, right? There's no hierarchy here. And it doesn't have like a classic Z pattern to a website. So it's kind of all centered, and it kind of makes it hard to read or to navigate. So moving on, we have the get started in 3 steps. I love this section. I think it does a great job of explaining how it's going to work, I just wish these were numbered, and we'll kind of talk about that when I get to my design. But then we have another call to action button here, so you can see without even having to scroll, I have 2 call to actions, and they're large buttons. And I don't think that we need another call to action right after we talk about how to get started, especially when it's all in the same section, like it's all in the same image. But moving on, we have what is CrossFit. Again, the headline is kind of hard to read with this background. And also, because we're using 2 images back to back, it's kind of hard to distinguish when you change into a new section, right? So I would like to see that this background is white or black or something and not an image. And then the next section below that could be the image, just to kind of give the eye a break. But I do love the fact that they're using images from the actual gym. They get bonus points for that. That is something people overlook. And I think it works awesome here. Next, we have a pretty large body of text here, all centered. Again, makes it kind of hard to read. And I don't think anyone is really going to read this. And I don't think you have to really explain to people what CrossFit is. I think they can probably get that accomplished with this video, which more people are going to watch anyhow. Then we have our About Us. Again, hard to read headline, and then a big body of text that's all centered. And then 2 smaller buttons. I don't think we need these 2 small buttons. Check out our reviews and more about Conquest. I think, there could be some benefit to getting people there, but ultimately our main goal is to get new patients in the door. And so if I was to design a website, especially if we're focused on new lead generation, I would have 1 call to action, and that's what I would focus on. And I would not make too many other buttons that go anywhere else other than to sign up. Next, we go into the pricing details. I think it is what it is. Again, we have a really large call to action button, and there's not a lot of padding between that button and get in touch, so it kind of gets lost in here. And again, everything is centered, so it becomes kind of hard to read. Also, I would, if possible, I would display your pricing. I know it can kind of cause some problems here and there, but I think ultimately it'll bring a more qualified lead in, because they know what they're going to be signing up for, what they're paying for, rather than them having to call you, get pricing, and then make their decision. What probably oftentimes happens is people call you asking for pricing, and then they leave and never come back. And you could eliminate a lot of that if you just put your pricing up front. So I personally would want to see pricing, and I think a lot of people would as well. Next, we have the contact information. I think that this section works. I would like to see it a little lower on the page. You'll kind of see as we go down that there's still a lot more to this page to go. But I think that this page works fine. I would say that this form is rather large. My guess is that it intimidates a lot of people, just because of the size of it, right? Like, it doesn't need to be this big and take up this much screen real estate, especially when you're just asking for basic information like name, email address, phone number, that type of stuff. It doesn't need to be this big, but I think it probably works. Next up, we have guests and drop-ins. This section, I think, is informative, but we don't really need it on the home page. I think that this could probably live on a separate page, maybe where we talk about the forms or, rules of the gym or something along like those lines, because a new person probably doesn't care about this. So I would kind of take that to a different page rather. Next, we have a gallery. I love this section. So this is a live feed of their Instagram. And I believe it updates automatically. And I think this is a great way to kind of show people the inside of your gym without them having to visit themselves, right? They can kind of get the feel and the understanding just from these pictures. So I think that this section is really strong. Next we have our schedule and hours of operation. So this section, I think, again, could probably live on its own site, or excuse me, its own page. And I think that too, because I don't think, too many newcomers are going to really care about how your classes are. And if they are, then they can navigate to that page. I think that this could act as its own separate page. As well as the forms here in the member area. I think that those two sections are going to be for people who are, already clients, obviously members area, or need to fill out a form. That doesn't need to be buried at the very bottom of the home page. A new client isn't going to, click on those and fill those out. If they do, they want quick access to them, and putting them in the navigation on its own page would probably serve better. But yeah, so that's his current site. I mean, overall, I think it's pretty strong. There's a few things that I would change, and some functionality things, like on Chrome, for whatever reason, the navigation bar just doesn't do anything. Except this last button here. So for whatever reason, you'll get stuck in certain spots, and obviously that isn't ideal. So but other than that, we're going to jump into my design and talk about the changes I made and why I made them. But real quick, I'm just going to give you a side-by-side on the design. Just do a quick scroll here, and then we'll kind of go through what changes I made. Okay, so up here in this hero section, you can see, first off, before I jump into the hero section, you can see that I kind of changed the overall design and look and feel of the brand. So I know this is kind of a big jump, and it might not work, and the client might like this look. But what I did is I went for a very dark and angular design, and I did that for two reasons, right? So one, I felt like it gave, especially like the dark undertones and the angles, it gave it like a grittiness to the design. And oftentimes when I think of CrossFit, especially their brand, that's kind of what I picture. So that's kind of what I went for here. And then also the angles kind of serve as a scroll indicator, right? So when you land on the website, this is what you're going to see. Maybe a little less, maybe more like, something like this, whatever. You understand the point. You're going to have this bottom bar at the very bottom of the screen here, kind of indicating to you that you need to continue scrolling. And the idea here is the longer you get someone to stay on your page, the more you get them to scroll, the more time you have to convince them that this brand in this gym is right for them. And then ultimately, in theory, that leads to more conversions. So that's kind of the design language I went for. But diving into the actual elements and the assets here, you can see that I cleaned up the navigation a lot. I took a lot of the links that he had here and got rid of them, or we'd house them inside of these links here. Now we could add, maybe 1, 2, 3 more, and it would still look a lot cleaner than what we have here. But I just wanted to kind of simplify things and make the main buttons stand out for new clients, right? They don't have to go searching. They know where to go. So here I have Conquer Your Body. It's a headline. I don't think it's the best headline in the world, but I think it kind of tells you, what you're here for and why you're here, and it kind of goes with their brand. Next, I have this sub-headline. So, this sub-headline is, just kind of, I took these few sentences here, and I kind of squished them down into to 1 to 2 sentences, basically just supporting this H1. Next thing is I have an input box for a text message for a free class. So I know John, the owner, he relies pretty heavily on texting, especially new clients. So my idea here was, we could just automate this, or he could take it over himself, but someone would land here, quickly put in their phone number, and boom, they could claim their free class, right? Now we can have an automation collect, name, email, phone number, or, anything else that we needed to grab here. We could have it automate once they text in. But yeah, I just know he relies pretty heavily on texting, so I went that route rather than email. Next, I have this second call to action button for join our Zoom workouts. Now, normally I wouldn't put this, or I wouldn't recommend this in the hero section, but with COVID-19 and all the issues that gyms are having right now, and a lot of them are closed, John went ahead and opened Zoom workouts where he does his CrossFit gym, and you can do it from your home without weights, with just your body weight. So it's a way to kind of keep your clients in shape and happy and healthy with what they're paying for, all while they're at home. So I think this button, can serve as two purposes, right? It can show new clients that they don't have to come to the gym, especially in this time. They can do it through Zoom. And then two, we can use it for existing clients who want to quickly access the Zoom links, and they don't have to jump through, a bunch of hoops trying to find the Zoom link, going to your Facebook, and then clicking on, whatever link they need to. It's all in one spot, was the idea there. Next, we have the Get Started section. So admittedly, this section, I think I would kind of redo a few things. I would probably bring some of this text about what these exact steps were and how they're going to function. But I think you kind of understand the idea here. Basically, I just want to break it down into a 3-step process. You join the class, you're going to create a plan, and then you're going to see the results. And while I'm in here, this shouldn't be all capitalized, but regardless, you still understand the essence here. But yeah, moving on, we have a who we are section. So as you can see, I think this section highlights the video a lot better, and focuses on the video itself rather than the text, because I think that video does its justice. I don't think you need to really explain anything else. I want people to click on the video, be engaged with the brand. It will grow trust. I just think we focus on the video here. In the next section, I brought over some reviews and testimonials that they've got. So the idea here is, especially with gyms, pretty much any business, but especially with gyms, you want to show that other people have gotten results with your product or service, right? So here, I just want to talk about how convenient and how family-oriented or how comforting the environment was, and how quickly someone saw the results. So what I would do is I would kind of dig around Google and Facebook and find find reviews that talk about the results and the environment. And then I would put all of those, maybe 5 around there, and I would put them in a testimonial section. That way you can kind of instill some trust into a new patient or a new client. And then the next section, we kind of have a call to action about claiming the free class. So after we've gained the trust, right, they know who we are and they know how it happens. Now I'm going to ask them again to claim their free class. And this is basically just, one last nudge to try to get them to come in the door. Get them to, basically once they're in the door at the gym, you kind of win. Especially for the gym, the hardest part is getting people to come through those doors. Once they're in the doors, you and your staff, you're going to win them over. They're going to become long, lifetime patients or clients of yours. So that's the idea. Give them a free class, let them come in, let them meet the team, determine their fitness levels and how you can get to their goal, and then set that goal that day. And then from there, I think that they're going to be hooked. I think the environment's so healthy, I don't really have to explain it. It's a free class. Get them in there. Next is the pricing section. Like I said in his design, I understand that you might not be able to talk about the pricing entirely, but if we could show some type of pricing, I think the people who convert now from the site are going to be higher quality just because they know what they're paying for and they know what the packages are and what fits their budgets best. So, and then lastly, we just have the footer. Nothing too exciting there. But yeah, overall, I'm really happy with how the design, kind of came out here. I think that, we accomplished two main goals. I think we're going to get, a clearer business picture, which is ultimately going to lead to more conversions. And I think that there's just more opportunity for those conversions to come in, especially when we focus around that free class and how many opportunities we give people to claim that free class. But we also provide value and show them how, what, and when things are going to happen before we ask them to sign up for the free class. So hopefully you found this design insightful, and hopefully you got some value that you were able to take away from this. But yeah, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching.